Alrighty, so now that I have finished installing my GPR V5 steering stabilizer on my 2025 Ninja ZX6R, I'm going to show you what tools you need because it's not actually all that involved. It only took me about an hour 10 minutes. So the hardest part is going to be drilling out the rivets that are on the ignition, because on this generation with the GPR specific stabilizer, you do have to swap out the triple tree. So here I have all the tools that I ended up using. You don't even need to use sockets. You can use just a T-handle set, and then you don't even need to worry about the different ratchets. But I would recommend the sockets because that way you can get the proper torque specs with the torque wrenches. To start off, we went ahead and, because this is a different size, I have a 3/8 drive and a 1/2 inch drive, both a ratchet and a torque wrench. And then we have a 12 millimeter, a 6 millimeter, and a 5 millimeter Allen head socket. Absolutely do not forget, use some red Loctite. There's some that's on some of those screws from the factory, and it's there for a reason. You don't want these bolts backing out on you while you're riding. You may need a small file. This is a pretty fine tooth one. You might not need it. I did end up needing it to make sure that I had enough clearance with the airbox. This is a spring-loaded center punch, and then I have a 3/32 and a 3/16 drill bit. You can use any drill, doesn't need to be an expensive Milwaukee drill, that's just what I happen to have. And then I just have a small set of vice grips to get the threads out after we broke the heads off of the screws. If you guys want to tackle this yourself, you can do it. This is my first time ever drilling into an ignition and taking it out, so anybody can do it. This is my first time doing it, and that's why I'm making this tutorial. I haven't seen anybody do this with the triple tree swap on this 24-25 ZX6R generation. Hopefully this tutorial ends up being helpful for you guys. Alrighty, and one thing I'm thinking about while I'm at it, if you guys are looking between the Öhlins steering dampener, which is that kind of long tube that goes like horizontally along the triple tree, or between the GPR style stabilizer, I will say if you live in an apartment or something, you store your bike outside, I would not recommend this for the security sake, because we are going to drill out the rivets from the factory on the ignition, and they're going to be replaced by these Allen screws, so anybody can come and just take the ignition off and swap it. So just a warning, if you are worried about the security of your bike, I would not recommend it, because it will make it technically easier to steal. So keep that in mind if you're trying to decide between the Öhlins or the GPR style. Alrighty, what is up guys? It's Jixer here. We've got my brand new 2025 ZX6R here, and what I'm going to be doing is a little bit different than my typical moto vlog videos, but I want to kind of give a tutorial on how to change out the triple tree, because I have a brand new GPR V5 steering stabilizer, and I didn't even know buying this, but because of the way that the ignition is placed here, it'll actually get in the way of the stabilizer sitting on top of the little fork stem here. So you actually have to swap the entire triple tree here. So we're going to go ahead and kind of do a tutorial on how to do that, because I haven't seen one anywhere online, and I think it'll be helpful for anybody that's looking at getting one of these. So from the factory, there's just this little plastic cap. All you got to do, get your fingernail in there, it'll pop right out. Now we're going to grab our 12 millimeter Allen. It's going to take a good little bit of force. Those are torqued down there pretty good. And there we are with that. Don't miss the washer there. That's all you got to do for that 12 millimeter. And then you're going to have these screws on the side of the triple tree, right here and right here. And those are the ones that clamp and squeeze around. So you're going to have to turn the bars a little bit to access each one. But okay, don't do that like me. Uh-oh. Don't be like me and drop your socket. Be a little bit of a squeeze. You could use the T-handle, might be a little bit better, but I'm too lazy to go and grab it. And I dropped my socket again. Alright, and there's our second screw. There are two bolts here on the bottom side. Hopefully you can see it right there. To hold the clip on onto the triple tree. And this is the 5mm Allen. Again, it's not torqued down, they're really tight. Alright. And then it looks like this has some red Loctite on it, which we do have, so we'll probably go ahead and put a new coat of red Loctite once we put this back together. And that Loctite is just to keep things from falling out from all the vibrations that these motorcycles have to put up with. And as I'm getting into this, like I said, it's really not all that involved. It's just, you know, taking off a couple of bolts. The most involved thing is going to be the ignition, and we'll get to that in a minute. Alrighty, so there's nothing else holding this on. You should be able to get it freely by hand, and just like that, it'll pop off. So now our entire triple tree is separated, and here's where it will get a little bit more involved, and this is kind of just the trickiest part of it. These are like a rivet style security bolt sort of thing, and we're gonna have to go ahead and drill and tap them out. So we're gonna drill just right in the center. As long as you get the center out, it'll pop this cap off, and then we should be able to just pull it out. If we get this cap off, we can pull the ignition off, and then the threads will be exposed. We can grab some vice grips or something to loosen it the rest of the way. Alrighty, so I've got a Milwaukee drill. You can use any drill. It doesn't need to be anything crazy expensive or high power, just any ordinary drill. And then I'm going to go ahead and give it a try with this stepped drill bit. That is what they recommend on the GPR instructions. So we're going to go ahead and give this a try. And if it doesn't work, if we have any issues, we're just going to go ahead and use a regular small drill bit to fit in there. This is a spring-loaded center punch. I got it for like $3 at Harbor Freight. You can even just use like a small flathead screwdriver and hit it with a hammer or something. Now, be careful. Take your time. Don't rush it. Don't go breaking anything. Worst case scenario, if you do end up going past it or anything, this is just a washer behind here, so you shouldn't really mess anything up with that. And you can replace it if you need, but again, just take your time. Alright, that's not working out too well. The bit is just slipping down, so we're going to try that. We're going to move over to this other side, just because since I used that step drill bit, it pushed it off center, so we're going to try and see if we can get better results on this one, and then see if we can figure out a better way to get the rest of this one out. Now, I can tell that I drilled far enough down that I'm past the like rivet cap. So hopefully once I put this slightly bigger bit in there, it might just twist the whole cap out for me. Alright, not quite ready to come out. So we're just going to keep drilling a tiny bit more. And there we go. That was the end goal right there. You can see that, again, just like a rivet, it's a cap. So it's not entirely a screw. So now that we got that off, and that is the way to do it. So the bit that I used to start, this smaller bit, this is a 3/32, and this is a 3/16. So 3/16 is what I would recommend because that worked literally perfectly. You can see it's the exact same width as the cap itself. So 3/16 drill bit, get it perfectly centered, use a center punch. So that's one of them out, and then we're going to go ahead and keep going at this other side that we started. I'm going to try and get a small drill bit in there again and push back towards the center so that we don't mess up the washer or anything. And again, you can see I messed up with using a step drill bit. I would not recommend that. I think maybe if I had a smaller one, that was the smallest I had, so maybe if you have a smaller step drill bit, it'll work. But yeah, I would recommend just doing the 3/32 and then a 3/16 bit, and that came out perfectly fine. I just want to mention, this is my first time ever doing this. I have never had to drill out ignition screws before, so that's just proof that even though it looks really complicated, it's really not that hard, and just about anybody can do it. You just need a couple of tools. And another thing, I mean, you're probably going to be saving a good $200+ doing this yourself, because I already spent almost $600 on the steering stabilizer itself. I think it was $520 plus tax. And also be careful, try not to bend the drill bit too far, because you'll end up shaving out this plastic. It shouldn't hurt anything, but just, again, be careful, take your time. Keep taking a second to stop and look, see where you're at. Make sure you're not drilling too far into the washer or anything to ruin that. Take it from me, as you saw here, do what I did on this one, not on this one. Don't use the step drill bit. If you have my recommendation, I would just do the 3/32 and a 3/16 bit, drill it straight down the center, and it popped the cap right off. This one I mangled way too much. And another thing, I ended up scraping off a little bit of paint here on the clutch lever, so just be careful of those couple of things. But this will come right on out of there, and you can see there's threads in there, but we can just go ahead and use some vice grips and get them off. And there is some red Loctite on these, so we'll go ahead and red Loctite them when we put them back on, most likely. I don't know if you can see them, but there are some little rubber washers in here, and you're going to reuse those, so make sure to keep those on here. And now, luckily, although I did wallow this bit out, I thought that I was going to have to reuse these, but it's just a spacer, and it'll pop right out, and there's new ones with that new stabilizer. We'll go ahead and grab our rubber washers. These are our new spacers. So that's going to go on the top side of the ignition like that. So they're going to sit like that. Here's our fresh triple tree, and this one's built specifically so the GPR stabilizer can fit right on it without having to add any extra adapters or anything, which, I mean, it's more work either way, but they're there. We're going to go ahead and red Loctite these like they were from the factory, and also these do come with washers, so you don't have to worry about reusing the mangled ones here. Do make sure that you get your rubber washers in there. And we're going to line this up, and it goes just like that. So the ignition's sitting on the top of the triple tree, obviously. And then we'll go ahead and get our screws in there. Let's get them started. And remember, the rubber washer first, then the regular washer, and then the screw. 5mm Allen. There's not any sort of torque spec or anything for these two bolts. You're just going to tighten them down until you can't anymore. Again, there's that red Loctite in there to hold it in. And then I'm just going to flip this around. Now, don't use a hammer or anything to get those on. Just press it on with your hands. Take your time, because you don't want to end up hitting the threads or anything on the fork stem there and mashing the top of it, because then you won't be able to fit the triple tree on at all. And before you go and tighten anything down, before you put anything else on, just make sure, because you can see the clearance right here is very, very tight. It's very close to the top of the airbox there, but it is good. So just make sure that everything moves around properly and nothing's interfering. Alrighty, and again, we're going to go ahead and grab the screws for the bottom side of this now. Those have red Loctite on them, so we're going to go ahead and put some new red Loctite, and they're the 5mm Allen as well. And for these bolts on the bottom that attach the clip-ons in place, there is not a torque spec that I could find, so you're just going to tighten them until you can't anymore. Again, there's red Loctite on them, so they're not going to vibrate out or anything either. And you can see right here, there is a little bit of a gap, but it'll close up. You can see it's closing up now as I tighten that bolt some more. If you're watching this video, I'm going off of the instructions for the GPR stabilizer that I've got here. It says do not use the washer for the fork stem bolt. So now this is going to be our 12mm Allen. And this is going to be to a factory torque spec, so we are going to grab our torque wrench for this. $59 foot-pounds is what I went ahead and did on the steering nut. Alrighty, we've got our 2 pinch bolts here that are going to go on the triple tree here, and these are going to be torqued to 15 foot-pounds. One click, 15 foot-pounds, both sides, and we're good. Alrighty, and now we're going to, now that we're done with the triple tree, we're going to grab our 5mm Allen, and we're going to loosen up these tank bolts here. We're going to grab our bracket here, and now you'll see this actually does have, hopefully you can see it, it's got a curve, it's got an arch in it. And it does not match the arch right here. It goes the opposite way. So the arch is pointed towards the front, because that kind of conforms around the tank like this. And again, with these bolts, I do not see any sort of torque spec for them, so we're just going to tighten them down as much as we can until they're pretty snug. You don't have to hammer on it like that. I'm just doing that to move it down out of the way so it's not hanging out at the top. That way we don't have to worry about unevenly putting it on and bending anything. Just nice and snug. Don't over torque it and strip or snap any bolts. Nice and snug. So we're going to set it on here. Make sure that that arm ends up in that bracket that we just installed. This is our 5mm again here. And then you might have to turn the steering wheel a little bit to line that up there. Alright, it's barely snug. Now these are going to get torqued. We already set it. This is at 96 inch-pounds, which is 8 foot-pounds. Again, this is going off of the GPR instructions. We're going to tighten these 2 bolts. And then right here there's a little pinch bolt, and we're going to tighten all 3 of them down to 8 foot-pounds. It's tightened. Click. And click. Those are all torqued down to 8 foot-pounds now. Alrighty, now that we've got everything taken care of, everything's torqued down, tightened up, Loctited, we're going to go ahead and stand this bike upright. And just make sure it's on the number 1 setting here. Alright, so although I checked it earlier, you can actually look and see there's a little mark on the airbox here from the ignition hitting it as I turn the bars. So we're going to go ahead and file this down a little bit. We just got a small square file, don't need anything crazy. Alrighty, so now it's clearing. I don't know if you can see it. It's flattened out a little bit. I really didn't even take that much off. This is a very small and fine file. And then let's turn it on, say, 5. Oh yeah, that makes a huge difference. Let's put it on 8. Yeah, that is crazy how this little thing can make the steering. Yeah, it makes a huge difference on the amount of force that you have to apply because of all the resistance this is providing. So we're gonna go ahead and take it out for a ride today and see how it is. We can go over in another video the pros and cons of the GPR stabilizer versus, say, the Kawasaki OEM or an Öhlins one. But again, hopefully you guys found some good use out of this video and it helped you to install your own GPR stabilizer or decide if you don't want one and you would rather have the other style.